Where there's a will, there's always a Les. Kotzer. Good morning, Les.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
The Family War, The Family Fight, two of your books that people can pick up that we'll tell them how a little bit later. But right now we're discussing, of course, all things wills. We have questions to get to.
Sure.
First up, when do you need one? At what point in your life?
I think anybody over the age of 18 needs a will. I see horror stories when people pass away without a will. I'm a wills lawyer. That's all that I do. I'm a will. I do wills. I don't fight with wills. I plan. I do will planning. And I see so many people who, young parents, I don't know how they sleep at night not having a will, no guardian. The fact is, if you don't have a will, your son-in-law or daughter-in-law could benefit from the inheritance you left your child if they get divorced. If you don't have a will and your child's collecting Ontario Disability Support Plan, if your child's disabled, they can lose their benefits. We do a lot of that. Also, if you have a company, a small company, you can save thousands of dollars in probate fees by making a separate will for your company and a separate will for everything else. You're allowed to do that now. A lot of people don't realize that.
Don't leave anything to chance,
Absolutely.
Definitely. And you always mention that you have free will reviews for people.
Yes.
We'll tell them how to get a hold of you a little bit later. I want to get to the questions first. This is from Paul. The will kits that are available for your computer, and you fill in the blanks, are they considered acceptable? My wife has taken courses in estate planning. I don't think she would steer me in the wrong direction.
Be very careful. Every word in a will means something. There was a fight over all my stuff. What does all my stuff mean? A man did a homemade will, wrote in the homemade will, I leave all my stuff to my son. I leave everything else to my daughter and son. Son said all my stuff includes mom's jewelry after mom died. Daughter said it didn't include mom's jewelry. All my stuff meant dad's stuff. What does that mean? You can go to court, cost thousands of dollars. You mentioned I do free will reviews. I do free will reviews. I review many wills and power of attorneys that are out of date, that don't have proper wording, aren't signed properly. Be careful, because you're not going to be here to explain what you meant. If you don't have the right power of attorney, the government can freeze everything you own. There's a website called familyfight.com where people can hear a horror story. I was on a show in Ottawa, and a woman called in and told me how her mother's assets had been all frozen by the government. She didn't do power of attorney, and she didn't have the right one. The government froze everything. So they go to familyfight.com and listen to that. If your parents don't want to talk about wills and power of attorney, let them hear that story.
It's one thing to reel from the death of a loved one and then have to deal with that to carry on. That's awful. Here's another one from Catherine. We are Canadian citizens and have wills. Presently, we are non-residents living in Hong Kong. Are the wills viable there?
You have to make a will where you have assets. So if you live out, even if you live in Manitoba and you're coming to Ontario, have your will reviewed. It may be missing a clause. For example, in Ontario, every will that I do, I put a special clause in that protects your son or daughter in case they get divorced. Parents, when I review their wills and I say your will doesn't have this in it, they're shocked, because nobody wants their son-in-law and daughter-in-law to benefit if they divorce their child. Yeah. So this Ontario will, by putting that clause in, we can protect your children's inheritance after you pass away.
And there's a huge difference, you always say, between divorce and being separated.
Absolutely.
If you're separated from your spouse right now, the wills that you created while married are still intact.
Absolutely. Marriage revokes the will as well. So if you just recently got married, you no longer have a will. In Ontario, marriage revokes your will.
Okay, very good. Here's another one from Kimberly. If my husband and I do not have a will and one of us should pass, do all of our possessions, RSPs, savings, etc., automatically go to the surviving spouse?
If you don't have a will, the law of Ontario writes the will for you. And no, if you have more than $200,000, the spouse gets the first $200,000, and then the children, if there's more than one, get 2/3, and the spouse gets 1/3. So if you want your spouse to be protected, make a will. You're not talking about thousands of dollars to make a will.
How much should it cost?
Well, I usually charge around $450 or so for a person, $700 or so for a couple. But, it depends on the situation. If there's trusts involved, there's disabled beneficiaries. Multiple wills are more expensive where you have corporate issues.
Depending on how involved it is, but a basic start is $450?
But I do a free consultation. There's no cost to come in and see me in my office. I'm young and Steels. They come in. I can sit down with them.
Okay,
people have to start the
Les.
process. It's so important.
To see Les, go to willappointment.com or visit him. He's on Yonge Street, just north of Steeles. Free will reviews. Call the number on your screen or willappointment.com. Les, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Always great to see you.